There are even suggestions that Andrew Windsor will be fleeing the UK, he'll move abroad.
There are moments when a royal scandal stops being a story and becomes something far more dangerous, when the whispers grow louder than the official statements, when the pressure shifts from public outrage to institutional alarm, and when the man at the center finds himself running out of exits. Tonight, Prince Andrew faces exactly that moment. A storm, decades in the making, has returned with renewed force, driven by newly released Epstein documents, fresh police activity, and warnings from those who know the royal family's history better than most. At the heart of the chaos is a claim that would have been unthinkable a few years ago, that Andrew Mountbatten Windsor is now a potential flight risk, and that the time has come for him to surrender his passport before he disappears into the world, just as another disgraced royal once did. Is that possible? Could Andrew really flee the country? And why do some experts believe this moment could define his fate? Before we dive in, there's something I need to share with you. Over the past few days, thousands have watched these stories unfold, but most haven't subscribed. If you're one of them, I invite you now to join us. Subscribe to Crownverse so you never miss the next chapter in this unfolding royal history. The latest wave of revelations began with the release of a trove of emails from Jeffrey Epstein's estate, documents now under examination by the United States House Oversight Committee. Their emergence has reignited scrutiny of Andrew's long-standing relationship with Epstein, a relationship that Andrew has repeatedly acknowledged but defended, and one that grew into one of the darkest chapters in modern royal history. The newly reviewed material does not introduce new charges, but it has intensified the narrative around how deep those associations truly ran. One royal biographer, Andrew Lowney, went as far as calling this document release the nail in the coffin for Andrew, a strong phrasing that reflects his personal interpretation, not an official verdict. But his commentary didn't stop there. Lowney argued publicly that Andrew should now be treated as a flight risk, suggesting that with mounting pressure and the possibility, however remote, of future legal consequences, Andrew might choose to leave Britain altogether rather than face further scrutiny. This is an opinion, not a confirmed plan or accusation, but coming from a high-profile biographer who has spent years researching the York family, it carries weight. He pointed to the example of Spain's former king Juan Carlos, who fled to the Middle East amid scandal, noting that such a move would suit the royal family. The implication is chilling, that it may be easier for the monarchy to quietly distance itself from Andrew if he were not present in the country. This is not the first time someone has speculated about Andrew leaving Britain, but it is the first time such speculation has collided with active police interest. In London, the Metropolitan Police recently acknowledged they are examining phone records, emails, and notebooks belonging to Andrew's former personal protection officers. This examination is not yet a formal investigation, but it signals a significant shift. For years, the Met stated they had no grounds to pursue the matter further. Now, however, recent claims have reopened the discussion. These claims, based on unverified reports, allege that Andrew asked his protection officers to investigate Virginia Giuffre, his accuser in the Epstein scandal. According to these allegations, Andrew allegedly provided personal information about Giuffre, including her date of birth and social security number, and asked a bodyguard to dig up dirt on her. The Metropolitan Police have not confirmed the accuracy of these claims, but they have acknowledged they are reviewing material to determine whether a new, comprehensive investigation is necessary. What makes this moment particularly volatile is the convergence of all these elements. On one side, a biographer known for his scrutiny of the Yorks claiming Andrew may flee unless his passport is confiscated. On the other, law enforcement evaluating whether his past actions could constitute misconduct or influence attempts through official channels. And hovering over all of it is the relentless shadow of Jeffrey Epstein, his estate, his documents, his victims, and the endless questions that remain unanswered. Andrew's downfall began years ago, but each new revelation feels like a fresh descent. When the world watched his now infamous interview, a moment intended to clear his name, it instead became the beginning of the end of his public life. In the interview, he denied allegations, offered explanations that were heavily scrutinized, and attempted to draw a line under his association with Epstein. Yet instead of clarity, the interview created confusion, disbelief, and a global wave of criticism. Andrew withdrew from public duties shortly after. The monarchy sought to distance itself from him, and now, years later, the consequences continue to unfold. Inside royal circles, there is always a balance between personal loyalty and institutional preservation. The royal family is an ancient institution, and like all institutions built on tradition, continuity, and public trust, it prioritizes survival over sentiment. Andrew's mother, Queen Elizabeth II, reportedly supported him privately for much of the scandal. But after her passing, the monarchy under King Charles has taken a much firmer stance. Andrew's titles were stripped, his military roles were removed, his public duties were eliminated. Even his ability to wear certain ceremonial garments was revoked. Now, the possibility of him being compelled to surrender his passport, a symbolic gesture that would strip him of movement and freedom, represents a new level of consequence. But could it actually happen? No authority has formally declared Andrew a flight risk. No legal order has been filed. No investigation has confirmed wrongdoing that would justify such a move. Andrew Lowney's comments reflect a personal assessment, not a legal directive. But the mere fact that this conversation is happening publicly is remarkable. It reflects a growing perception that Andrew's position is becoming increasingly untenable as more information surfaces. It also reflects a fear that Andrew may repeat the path of King Juan Carlos, who quietly left Spain after a series of corruption scandals. Juan Carlos now resides in Abu Dhabi, far from public scrutiny. His departure relieved pressure on the Spanish monarchy, allowing his son, King Felipe VI, to stabilize the institution. Lowney's comments imply that a similar scenario could happen in Britain, that Andrew leaving the country could offer the royal family a convenient distance from his scandal. Whether or not this is accurate, it highlights how deeply Andrew has become entangled in a narrative that threatens the reputation of the institution he once represented. Meanwhile, the Metropolitan Police's renewed review of Andrew's former protection officers adds a law enforcement dimension to the story that the palace cannot ignore. Protection officers are bound by strict protocols, and any suggestion that they were asked to conduct improper investigations would be treated seriously. The Met's public statement indicates that they are considering all available information, though they have not yet determined whether to open a full investigation. This step alone is significant because it reintroduces a line of inquiry that many believed was closed for good. For Andrew, the implications are enormous. If police find enough material to proceed, the situation escalates from public relations disaster to potential legal jeopardy. If they do not, the damage to his reputation would still be severe, but the legal risk may remain minimal. Either way, the spectacle of a former senior royal being associated with phrases like flight risk, passport surrender, and police examination is unprecedented.
On a personal level, Andrew's world has shrunk dramatically. His public life is gone. His ceremonial honors are gone. His military associations have been revoked. Royal Lodge, his private residence for decades, is no longer secure as King Charles continues restructuring royal housing. His finances are under scrutiny, his ability to travel freely may now be questioned, and his closest confidants have faced intense pressure. His relationship with Sarah Ferguson, though supportive in many ways, is also strained by the circumstances. They share a home, a history, and a complicated partnership, but the walls around them are narrowing. Sarah's own future is uncertain, her living situation unstable, her public life overshadowed by Andrew's downfall. Friends of the couple have previously suggested that the mental and emotional toll on both of them is profound, though these claims remain unverified and originate from commentary rather than official statements. The monarchy, meanwhile, remains silent. Silence is its oldest survival strategy. Silence allows speculation to fill the gaps, but protects the institution from adding fuel to the fire. Silence allows others, biographers, analysts, journalists, to speak loudly while the palace remains above the fray. But silence also creates distance. And distance, in Andrew's case, signals separation. As this story unfolds, the central question is not whether Andrew will be forced to surrender his passport, nor is it whether he will flee the country. The real question is how much more pressure the monarchy can withstand before taking decisive internal action, and how much more Andrew can endure as the world watches every development. The newly released Epstein documents have reopened wounds that never healed. The Metropolitan Police Review has revived questions many believed were settled. The biographer's comments have added fuel to a narrative already burning, and the public continues to wonder what comes next. For Andrew, the path forward is narrowing. Legal risk is uncertain, but possible. Institutional support is diminishing. Public opinion is unforgiving. And now the specter of exile, once unthinkable, is part of the conversation. Whether or not he is truly a flight risk, the fact that experts believe he could be paints a picture of a man cornered by his past, surrounded by controversy, and without a clear way out. As the world waits for the Met's decision, for more Epstein documents, for statements from those involved, and for Andrew's next move, one truth remains clear. This story is far from over, and each new piece of information draws the circle tighter around the man once known as His Royal Highness. The consequences of his past choices are no longer distant. They are here, at his doorstep, and they may soon determine the rest of his life.